Gina just throws this hand grenade. There's been an immediate backlash.
Gina is not someone that's not used to being in the media. You are going to be held responsible for statements like that.
If that was someone did that to me, I'll be like, you just sabotaged me. She said the most polarizing thing you can say right now politically. Read the room. One Nation had a pretty good week. There was a lot of positive energy, good headlines, and all of a sudden, Gina just throws this hand grenade, and it's like one of the number one comments on the video I did with Malcolm. You know, I filmed that video with Malcolm before that happened, so I didn't get a chance to even say, hey, what was that about? But people are like, what is going on with that? There's been an immediate backlash. What's your take on that, Joel? Like, did you see that coming?
Look, I just thought that was silly. I mean, Gina is not someone that's not used to being in the media. But with One Nation, and when you're running as a political party, you are going to be held responsible for statements like that, like even if it wasn't you that said it. So, I mean, I think it's important for, Mrs. Reinhardt to consider about the things and her association with Pauline and the perception that she owns One Nation. There is that perception. And if you're going to invite Pauline onto the stage to receive a tractor that's orange, and in the same place also say that we should invite and give away Australian land and islands for free to billionaires like Elon, or to Israel to build killer drones while they're also killing children in southern Lebanon and Gaza. I mean, like just have a little bit more consideration of the fact that One Nation.
Read the room for starters.
Yeah, like you're starting to be associated with One Nation. We've got a once in a generation opportunity to break the two-party hold. Like, just a little bit more tact, please. Even Bibi Netanyahu wouldn't say, let's give away Australian islands to Israel to build killer drones. I'm like, again, it's not personal. I don't know this, I don't know Gina personally, but it's like I don't think people understand that One Nation, what they're standing up for is not, the Israel thing is not even in the top 30 things. This week, we had some of the worst tax laws change. Whether it's trusts, self-managed super funds, whether it's foreign corporations having a 15% tax rate versus Australian companies getting a 30% tax rate, Australian families and businesses are about to hurt even more. I am not concerned about the stuff happening overseas. And when we've got Mrs. Reinhardt talking about inviting Israel to come and build killer drones there, it's not helping One Nation, and it's not helping Australia. And so again, look, she can believe what she wants, but I just thought it was a very silly statement. And obviously the internet's responded as expected. So it's really unfortunate because Pauline really did have a killer week last week. It was a great week.
Considering I'll come to you, Edward, but considering like the rhetoric online, right, about everything to do with Israel, the IDF, the Jewish people in general, everything to do with that is the temperature is about as hot as it can get for the last 12 months. It has been at least. Like part of me, like you said, Gina's been around the media before. She's a billionaire. She's not dumb. Is there anyone going out there like, I don't know, if you had to put money on it, it's almost like, was there intention behind this? I just find it, to me, I don't look at that as a slip of the tongue. I don't look at that and go, oh, maybe she just said something out loud. I just I reckon these people know exactly what they're saying all the time, Gina included. And I found that, and if that's what she believes and that's what she wants, no problem. But she's smart enough to know that, hey, like you said, she's now married up to One Nation, and she's put herself in there with funding and backing and endorsing. And then you kind of come along and say something wild like that, and it looked like Pauline had no idea that was going to be said. Is that to me, I just look at that like, if that was someone did that to me, I'll be like, you just sabotaged me. No matter what the topic was. It doesn't have to be about Israel. It doesn't have to be, no matter what the topic is, like, how can you bring me up on stage and say something so polarizing? It's not like she said we should build a new stadium for a soccer team. She said the most polarizing thing you can say right now politically. Read the room.
I don't think it was intentional. I really don't think it was intentional, but yeah, it was definitely very silly.
Go ahead, Edward.
Well, it's no secret in right-wing circles, particularly up here in Queensland, that Pauline Hanson's comments made at the Anzac Day rally down in Canberra that Scotty ran around not bending the knee to any foreign country, and Pauline Hanson listed Israel. Like that has been a eyebrow raiser across the movement, and for people like Gina who have been just a stalwart in the movement for the right-wing movement for some time, I think there could be a bit of intent behind it to basically say, no, this is my chosen vehicle now. This is where I'm going to put my money, and maybe try to pull Pauline Hanson back into line. I'm not too sure. Like I'm not inside her head, but I can see that being, she's up on stage. Obviously, it might be something that Gina believes in, and if you had that platform yourself, you'd say something that you believe in. But I agree. Like she's a professional. She knows what she's doing, and it didn't seem like a slip of the tongue. It's a very weird thing to slip of the tongue. It's not something that was coming up in conversation. She brought it to a head. So I wonder if there's something in that in terms of One Nation trying to make moves around particularly the monoculture stuff. Like they're trying to move toward being a more credible nationalist party. I don't think they're there yet at all, but that's sort of what they're up against, I suppose. And Gina's got her horses there, and that might be her intent.
Scotty, you're a bit of a BS sniffer. It's on the radar. When you first saw that, 3 options: slip of the tongue, didn't mean to say it. Second option, knew exactly what she was saying and did it as I hadn't even thought about that, as a bit of a correction on what her vehicle had said earlier in the year. Or third option, the cat's out of the bag and that's One Nation's plan. I don't believe option 3, but where did you feel when you first saw that? Did you go, what in the world? Or do you like, man, this again doesn't seem right, something's up?
Man, again, we sit in this situation where we've got cryptic messaging from One Nation and signalling from its financiers. And I don't have any problem with Gina helping out One Nation. They need all the help they can get. There's billionaires funding the Labor Party, Pratt and Holmes Court funding the Greens and Teals, and we can see all that. That's to way more money than One Nation is getting. So I don't have a problem with money in politics, provided it's a fair game. When the others squeal about Gina's money, let's also remember that Gina has owned massive stakes in huge media organisations in Australia over its time. She's owned, stakes in Channel 9 at one point, The Age, Sydney Morning Herald. She's 72 years old, as is Pauline. And God bless Pauline. I love her. I've met her a number of times as well. You're talking to grandma, and grandma's going to run the country. And sometimes when grandma's at lunch, she might forget what she's saying, or she's had a brandy too many. Who knows, right? Gina's a pretty eccentric character. But the context of the speech as well, she also spoke about giving land to Taiwan to build semiconductors in Australia, and Elon Musk to launch satellites. So there was a fair bit going on in that speech. And if you look at it holistically overall, it wasn't just an invitation for Israel to build defense technologies here. I might also add, Australia does not have a defense agreement with Israel, or in any way at all. I believe there's some shared technology stuff. Trade-wise, we do about $1 billion a year, and that's probably us buying surveillance technology from them so they can watch what we're saying right now. And I don't think it would be a good use of Australian land at all to help Israel build that kind of technology here. There's no reason we can't do it ourselves. We're smart people. We've got lots of universities. We attract students from all over the world to come and study in Australia because apparently we're the best at everything, but we can't build anything ourselves here. So there's a bigger part to it. Do I think it's a conspiracy for Israel to get its foot in the door? Israel's already got its foot in the door. The Yanks have already got their foot in the door. Everyone's got their foot in the door here, and they're sucking this place dry, which is one of the major problems that we have in Australia. Ed touched on the point before that when we did the rally in Canberra, some of the bigger Jewish accounts, like RV Yemeni, for example, Rebel News, only came out against us after the Canberra rally, after Pauline said that on stage. And I'm glad that Ed brought that up because he was there. that's when this really started to ramp up with these guys having a crack at us. And it was a massive story with Gina last week, as it should be. You know, her saying what she said. Traditionally, the Bush Summit has done a really good job of highlighting issues in the country, helping navigate some future direction for the place. I think it potentially took what was a good event and then really threw some sourness on that. I wondered what her advisors said to her afterwards.
Yeah, well, that takes us back to whether we believe it was a slip of the tongue or a reaction to the speech at the start of the year by Pauline. I find it a gross misappropriation of the moment, especially in the country when everyone in the country, like Australians, as much as the rhetoric online and like I said, the temperature is extremely high about all the foreign stuff. It's more that like it's because the country's struggling. They care so much about that. You've got your extreme groups, right, who just hate Israel, hate Jews. You guys know how I feel about that stuff. I think if you spend all your time hating someone, your eyes aren't on Jesus, which is how I think, right? But in Australia, people are struggling. Housing prices are an issue. Cost of living's an issue. We don't trust our politicians. Energy prices are through the roof. We're giving everything away. So when someone comes in and says, we're going to do this for whatever country, for America, for Israel, for Europe, for New Zealand, it wouldn't matter who it is. It's just the fact that they said Israel. That's already a touchy subject. But anyone, people are going, just look after us. This is the whole message of One Nation. Look after us. And so anything that has to do with another country and benefiting someone else, people are like, here we go. Here we go again. Anyway.
I hope you enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full podcast and see the rest of the shenanigans we got up to, click here. You can watch the full podcast. And also don't forget to subscribe, like, leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you guys. And I'll see you guys later.